Hey everyone, this is Blanton with Once Upon a Homestead. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little bit different, and we're actually going to go ahead and do a walkthrough. Let's leave our little honeybee friend here, and we'll start right up here at the garden. Now, this year has been a little bit interesting with how Mother Nature has given us quite the curveball back and forth. We started out with a very cold spring. We had some freezes, real heavy freezes in the early season that then ended up being just really wet and gross for a while, and very damp ground. Nothing was growing all that well. And now it's really hot and dry, so it's like 92 and very dry out right now. So now we're back into the let's water the heck out of our plants season. But we'll start out here. Right off the bat here we have some, I think it's Dahani sweet corn is what it's called. It's an orange variety of sweet corn. It's pretty old. It's from the 1920s or 30s, I believe. And it's an orange sweet corn. It's not super sugary. It's one of the older breeds, but it's a decent producer. And unfortunately, only 1.5 of the rows came up. The germination rate on the seeds have been pretty lackluster. I was surprised by that. But yeah, we have enough. We'll be able to get enough seeds for next year, and we'll get plenty of them for for food as well. Right here are the giant Mongolian sunflowers, and they're growing exponentially well. They can get up to 15 feet, I believe. These are currently around like 6.5, 7 feet. So they're growing nicely for us. They're starting to get little tree trunks on them. To come up around the back here, there's something that I'm pretty happy about, and that is the Gete Okasomen squash. I grew these last year, but they didn't grow well for me at all. I don't think I even got a single squash off of them before the plants died. This year, they're doing really well. And I even have squash already, early in the season like this. So they're doing really well this year. I'm pretty happy about that. And then as you can see out into the field as I pan, you're going to see a lot of tomatoes. And I will say this row right here, those are the only tomatoes we planted this year. The rest of those all came up on their own. Seeds that had fallen and squished and throwing rotten tomatoes into the field and that kind of stuff. They just ended up, volunteering and coming back up this year. So I didn't pull them all out. I left them go just to see what happens, see how many tomatoes we actually end up getting. You can see we have some yellow and green squash right here. That's purple cauliflower. Doesn't seem to be doing that well this year. I don't know. The bugs really got to it, and we don't really even have any flower heads on it yet. So we're gonna wait and see what happens with that. We have the kohlrabi out there, as well as more cauliflower, and right here, which desperately needs weeded again, is the golden beets. Just a small row of them. We have cucumbers, various other plants. We have loofah sponge gourds, which the same loofah sponge as you would buy in the store, that's actually a gourd. They grow just like a squash would, more or less on a vine like this, and they're going to come in here, and we're going to have a bunch of them growing this year. So I'm pretty happy how they're turning out as well. We have something called mullein, or mullein, depending who you talk to, but mullein is this plant right here. It's a soft, fuzzy leaf plant called nature's toilet paper. We actually joked about using that as emergency toilet paper during the shortage when everything was going down with the pandemic and all. But, it was still early in the season, so we didn't have enough of that to actually use if we wanted to. But now it's kind of growing all over the place. And then there's a couple other plants that are growing that look similar to it, and I'll get to those in just a second. Mullein is a plant that can be used as a substitute for tobacco. And mullein is an expectorant, and it's has mucinogenic properties. And what that does is it helps you cough junk out of your lungs. Similarly, tobacco can do that, but it has a lot of tar in it, and that will conversely keep things in your lungs. Well, anyway, the plants that kind of look like the mullein actually are tobacco. And there's a couple different types of it. This is a Nicotiana tabacum. This is your typical tobacco you would see in the fields if you're in in tobacco country, these are very small, small plants. They will grow up to 9 feet tall if left go. These were transferred a little too early, I think, and they got stunted. So they're not going to grow very big this year for some reason. I might get 4 or 5 feet out of them, but no big deal. And then this is a type of tobacco called Nicotiana rustica. This is actually the tobacco that was grown on the East Coast in, even ancient times. This tobacco is not commercial tobacco. It's the kind of tobacco that was grown by this specific strain here is actually Seneca. This is the corn planter strain. And this tobacco was grown all over the East Coast before any white man ever set foot on this continent. And this was used in ceremony, and that's exactly what I grow it for. It's used in ceremony. I donate it to Native Americans and people that will be using it for ceremony. And I do not make tobacco products. I do not condone tobacco use as far as like cigarette smoking and that kind of stuff. If it's used for ceremony and spiritual use, I'm 100% for it. And I grow it to give it away. I don't sell a single leaf. It all gets donated. And if it's used the right way, it's not going to hurt you. It's good medicine. If you use it the wrong way, it's going to kill you. It's exactly, what any medicine would do. So treat it like medicine, and it'll treat you well. Treat it like, something you use every single day, and you're going to get all kinds of problems with it. So, got to be careful. This is a type of tobacco here as well. This is a shrub style tobacco. It's called Nicotiana quadrivalvis, and this actually grows out west typically. I only had 2 of them actually grow pretty well this year. Normally they don't grow great around here. They're actually not made for this zone. We're like 7A, 7B. But they do grow, just not great around here. But these 2 actually came up pretty nicely for me. And again, a tobacco that's going to be used for ceremony and stuff like that. And if any of the natives in my community need it, they absolutely get it. So we have some volunteer plants over here as well, and these are potatoes. Last year I chucked a couple potatoes into the garden just to kind of get rid of them, and they ended up growing. So we have some russet potatoes right here, and there's some on the other side actually over there growing that just ended up getting chucked into the garden and tilled under, and lo and behold, they started growing. So you see there's just a ton of tomato plants everywhere around here. But I want to get over here and show you this one. This is not a tomato plant. Kind of looks sort of similar. This is actually the lychee tomatoes. I'm super excited these are growing this year because lychee tomatoes are similar to ground cherries. They're super spiny and spiky, and you need a glove to pick them. You can see all the little spines all over the place and stuff. But these spiny little buggers are delicious. They taste like a mixture between a tomato and a strawberry. And I'm super stoked that they're growing really well now. I have 3 of the plants growing currently, so I'm excited to pick those. I really like ground cherries. They're really good. And they're really not a popular plant, and I don't know why, because they're delicious. We got some peppers coming up here. Get up around the corner. Get over to the other side here. It's that big puffy plant in the middle. That is actually catmint. And it's... If you ever go to the store, if you're in your grocery store or in the pet store and you see something called like cat buds, that's actually what this is. It's catnip or catmint, and you're just getting the buds from the flower buds from that plant. It's similar to catnip. I think it might even be the same plant. I'm not 100% sure, but I call it catmint because it's in the mint family, and cats still go absolutely bonkers for it, and it still makes them go all wonky. So same properties. Neat plant. Grows really, really, really well. You have to really maintain it, or else it'll take over your entire garden. This will actually get cut down and bundled up, and that's where that's going to end up. Down here is I think it's spearmint. I don't remember exactly what it was. It planted 3 or 4 little sprigs last year, and now it's just a massive heap of it again. So that's another mint family that, again, any of the mints will go nuts for you. Here's some more potatoes. There and down there. Again, I didn't plant those, they just popped up. Some cucumbers, some squash. These are looking a little wilty. So in the evening here, I'm going to get the sprinkler out, put it over here, and let them get some decent hydration. You know, always pull the weeds out of your garden if they're getting big. You know, you don't have to weed every single plant out to get rid of it and, you know, make it a completely barren garden, but you definitely want to get rid of the things that are taking the nutrients from your vegetables. It's anything close by, really. If you can weed it all, go ahead, but it takes a lot of effort and time, and I do most of the work myself, so it's a little difficult. Some more cucumbers, some nata penas and habanadas. They are peppers that have no heat, and they taste like jalapenos and habaneros, and those are for my kids and my fiance. They are the ones that are going to be eating those. I think they taste fine, but I like things that have heat, so I actually grow things like Trinidad scorpions and stuff like that. I think they're delicious. Melt your face off hot. They're the Big Max pumpkins. They can grow up to 150 pounds. Biggest one I ever had, I think, was like 40. But they're just interesting. Got some more watermelons growing here, some more corn. This row is very sporadic, unfortunately, but that is the, I think, this row here, I don't remember exactly which one it was, but I think that is the red popcorn. And then down here is the white shoe peg. And the very bottom row is the glass gem corn. And that is an ornamental corn, very pretty. You know, you can technically grind it into cornmeal, but it's more just ornamental. Came up really well for me this year. And this gigantic plant. This is a 2-year-old Artemisia ascentium, or grand wormwood plant. And it's the same stuff that they use to make the drink absinthe. You know, they macerate it with grain alcohol mixed with a couple different herbs like anise and fennel. But that plant is it's an Artemisia. It has a very strong salvia kind of smell, similar to sages. And apparently it's like a dewormer and a stomach calming plant. You can use it to make tea out of, which I've done. It doesn't taste that great. It's kind of bitter, but when it's in actual absinthe, the mixture of alcohol and fennel and anise and other herbs, it's actually quite nice. But no, it doesn't make you see little fairies and make you go nuts. It has the chemical in it, I think thujan is what it's called, doesn't make you go bonkers. It's really high alcohol content usually, and that'll make you, you know, do everything that high alcohol would do. So, you know, everything in moderation, guys. Again, we have squash, looking a little picked, so we're going to give them some water later. More types of tobacco. This is Delaware right here. Nicotiana rustica Delaware. And this one here, with these droopy, kind of droopy leaves on it, or not leaves, flowers, is Langsdorffii, Nicotiana Langsdorffii. And that is just another primitive, I think it's a Central American species. It just has these interesting kind of drooped flowers. So, going through, again, tons of tomato plants and everything. Like, I just popping it up everywhere. But let's walk around here a minute. We'll go around the front of the house and show you guys. This is a chestnut tree here. And just dropped all its little puffy, smelly flowers, and it's going to start growing the actual chestnuts soon. I don't know if it's a Chinese or an American chestnut. If anybody knows, I would love to know for sure. I don't know if the leaves help you, but it's a neat tree, and it has very, very spiny little, you know, things. Here's one of the flowers that just dropped. These little things that kind of look like foxtails. And boy, do they stink. Ugh. See around all these weeds growing right here, but then there's something absolutely delicious hidden inside of here. Boom. Can you see them? Black raspberries. I love black raspberries. They are the best. and it's just naturally growing here. They're wild. Nobody planted them, so it's kind of, you know, keep our eyes peeled for any that are ripe and good to go. Some of this stuff here is miner's lettuce, and not miner's lettuce. I think, what do they call this? It's some kind of wild lettuce. It might be called miner's lettuce. I forget, but it's actually a pain reducer. It has a very similar. There's a milky sap inside of it. I'll snap a little piece off this leaf, and you kind of see it's a very very milky sap on it there, and it's full of, I think it's silicone is why it's white like that. It's similar to milkweed in that respect, but that you can actually use, I think it's the root, ground up, and you kind of use that as a painkiller, natural painkiller. It's almost as strong as Tylenol. But let's go to the side of the house over here. The previous owners, they put this tank in right here, stuck it into the side of the chimney, and there's a little propane tank in the basement. We actually don't use it because we don't really use the basement for anything. It's just storage, really. So eventually, once we get more of the house fixed up as time goes on, we'll be using that again. So it's kind of nice that it's already built. Let's get down here. Just got a porch put on a little while ago. So we have a nice new porch, and the kids have a few toys down here. That's okay. Another volunteer tomato plant. Like I said, they're everywhere. I don't even know. But this is the old dairy barn here. It's quite old. This house was built in the 1860s, and the addition was put on in the 1920s, I believe it was. It's a little smokehouse right there. It's not actually an outhouse. It actually is a smokehouse. But this used to be a little dairy barn right here, and it needs a lot of fixing up, obviously. But this dairy barn is now just our storage garage, more or less. And used to be a nice big tree there that we had to get cut down because these vines strangled it and killed it. So we're still trying to figure out what to do with this little area. I'm probably going to take the tiller through and just grind it all up into nothing, and just mulch it, and might take a chainsaw to that actual stump and see if I can carve it into something neat. Never tried chainsaw art before. I'm sure I can figure it out. Know how to do wood carving, just never did it with a chainsaw. So let's get up here and say hi to the boys. Tweet, tweet. There all the different birds. And the peacocks here is Gaston. His big blue neck. Such a pretty bird. He's our only male. The other two are females, and then we have a bunch of these guineas roaming around in here as well. There's pretty birds, neat to have. The guineas give us plenty of eggs. You actually see there's an egg just chilling inside of there, if you can see in the video or not. But they're fun to have. I really like having the birds. They're kind of the icon, at least Gaston is the icon of our channel so far, because he's just super pretty and everybody seems to like him quite a bit. So let's hop into the potato garden down here. Over here we have the Reds and the Kennebecks, and man, they are just not doing so great this year. Like I said, with the way the seasons have been going, it's been very very difficult to know exactly what the weather's doing, and I think that's kind of affected their growing this year. Now, that doesn't mean that they're not going to produce potatoes. They definitely are, just not as many as I'd like to see. In fact, some of these are looking a little like they're actually getting mature, which is crazy that they're doing that already. It's so early in the season, but again, it's very hot and dry, so that might have part to do with it. Down here we have a couple different, we have some fennel and some basil, different mustard greens, and lots of squash down through the entire row. And those squash will produce just a ton for us. They're green and yellow squash, summer squash. And let's see, let's go down through here a minute. There was just a big old gap down here. Where is it? Right here. I have no idea why nothing came up right there. There was a bunch of things planted, and you know, nothing came up right there, and I don't know why. So it's been a perplexing garden this year. Our greens, as you can see, the bugs have gotten to some of that, so I'm actually going to chop most of this off with a trimmer, and it'll actually come back fuller and better than it was before. When you harvest your greens, just cut off the tops and let it regrow, and it'll actually grow throughout most of the season for you. You know, just don't let them get too leggy like that one is. And then we have some carrots coming up here. They don't look the best. The carrots just never seem to grow that well for me, but this year they come up okay. But as you go through here, it seems they're getting a little weak. So hopefully they do better for us as the season goes, but we'll see. There's some sedge growing in here too, which is annoying. This grass-like stuff is really difficult to get rid of. Sedge is not like a regular grass. It just grows like crazy. These are red beets down here, and I need to thin this entire pile out. You can see that they're pretty dense, and that's just a little bit too much. So let me see, grab one out of here. See if I can. Is there anything on it yet? That is all the bigger the red beet is so far. But again, it's very overcrowded, so that might be part of it. So we'll toss it out there, let the bugs eat that. Bug, bird, rabbits, whatever. We've got some corn right here, and a couple different kinds of corn growing. Down here, there was 2 full rows planted of bicolor sweet corn. And that's it. 2 stalks. That's all that came up. So this has been a wash down here. Literally, it's actually flooded out during all those rains, and that's why nothing grew. So there's a lot of like nightshades and you know, pokeweed and stuff coming up, and a lot more of that sedge and other annoying plants that we don't want in the garden. So I'm going to till this all under again, and I'm going to start back over. The garden should have plenty of time left to grow, you know, early season sweet corn and stuff like that, or mid-season sweet corn rather. So that's not too much of a worry. It's just annoying that you have to do it again. So that's pretty much the little farmstead. You know, we have all the way up there is a bunch of fields, but there's just hay in those right now. Nothing really impressive. So just wanted to take you guys around and show you everything. I hope it's you know, somewhat interesting to see the garden. You know, it's in a state of constant flux, so constantly weeding and picking and doing other things, and you know, it's always a lot of work. So we try our best to keep things healthy and happy around here, but you know, it's one of those things. It's always a challenge, but it's definitely worthwhile. You know, we really like it. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. So let's go up here and say hi to the guineas. See if they scream at me or not. They're really loud, obnoxious little birds sometimes. Hi. Yeah, I know. I walked near you. How dare I? You can walk right up to the peacocks. They don't care. When I go in the fence and do maintenance and pick, you know, pick up eggs and all kinds of other stuff, the peacocks just kind of walk away from me. The guineas usually run. Bunch of wimps. But that's pretty much it. You know, that's our little stead. So I hope this was a fun little walkthrough. If anybody has any questions, you know, give us a shout. We're always willing to talk and try to help each other out. You know, that's the whole point of this channel, is to, you know, work with other farmers and people that want to get into it, and people just want to do homesteading and are interested in this kind of stuff. Hi, Gaston. So if anybody has any questions, let us know. In the meantime, we're always here, you know, on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram. So don't forget to, you know, like and comment and share and hit the bell and all that good stuff. And, you know, remember, we're on this together. So, we'll see you all around. Take care.